very young, the future means this afternoon. And when you are a youth, well, there are more important things to think about than how your life might turn out. And when you are old enough to think about it, you don't have time to do anything about it. But a Guardian Group pension plan can help take care of your future, because from small beginnings, big things can grow, and you can be comfortable in later life. Guardian Group Pensions. Live long. Live easy.
And good afternoon. Welcome again to the final edition of Inside Insurance for the month of April. We should be back next month as well. Remember, the first and last Friday of every month, we talk insurance, and courtesy the folks at Guardian Group. And of course, my name is John Gill, and as I said before, in studio with me is the Guardian Life expert, Mr. Quincy Tyner. Good afternoon, and welcome to you, Quincy.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you for having me on this program.
Not a problem at all. I'm happy to have you here because we're going to be talking about something that we all need to take into, into consideration. That is retirement planning, and people have all kind of thoughts about retirement. You wait till you get old, but we're going to go through all of those things to see, what's the best time to plan, what is the best type of plan, etc., etc. But you will be here. You are here to divulge all those, all that important information. But let's start with this. Why is it important to plan for retirement in the first place?
That's a very good question, and I would start out by saying most of us do not realize that a serious problem exists, right? Now, there's something called market demographics. Demographics often divide the population into age-based segments known as generations. Now, there are 4 generations. The silent generation, also called the mature generation. This is the population that were born prior to 1946. The baby boomer generation that were born between 1946 and 1964. Generation X, which were born from 1965 to 85. And the millennial generation, born between 1986 and 2000. Now, you see, all throughout history, there were even births and deaths. So, in terms of the rates, they were even, right? Now, the baby boomer generation was a large number of births, or should I say, was a spike in the birth rates at the end of World War II. Now, this was a good thing because more schools had to be built, more jobs had to be created, and of course, with a greater workforce, things were better. But this large amount of people are now upon retirement. And because the spike in births was a one-time occurrence, it means we are now a smaller working force as compared to people who are upon retirement. We can call this population an aging one. Now, as you may know, the NIS you pay now goes to people who are retired, right? So, of course, there is a dilemma there because, as I mentioned earlier, there are a large amount of retirees and a smaller working force. It is something that the government is grappling with, and this is a worldwide phenomenon. You would have noticed on your payslip, John, that your NIS contributions would have gone up within recent times. Yes?
Yeah.
And this is just an effort to try to deal with this problem. Now, the other issue is the changing nature of retirement living. Seniors are better educated, they are taking care of themselves and are living healthier and longer lives than previous generations. I'm sure you would notice that. People are working out and,
that's right.
And
people are
eating
longer.
healthy and that kind of thing. Active life expectancy is also increased, which means that there are less people who are living without disability. And so there's another problem here where you will find that people are living past their expected or planned retirement. So funds run out and these retirees are forced to go back to work. Now, if retirees are going back out to work, or in some instances cannot afford to stop working, what does it mean for our young ones who are looking for jobs? Yeah, there's a need there. Also, there is also this fact that the investment returns are at an all-time low. You know that interest rates are down all over, and also the continuing inflation, which is soaring right now at an average of about 7 to 8%. So, in a nutshell, these are some of the things that we need to consider, and why planning for retirement is so important.
Because really and truly, when you look at it, you made some important points. People are living longer.
Yes.
So that means you're living past your planned work years.
Yes.
You have the situation where of inflation and so forth. So there are a number of reasons why you shouldn't just walk into retirement. You should really plan. For it. You need to plan for it and understand that if you want to maintain a standard of life, the standard of life you have grown accustomed to, you can't just let it happen by chance.
Correct.
You must plan for it. Now, what is the best time to start planning for retirement?
All right. The best time to start planning is, well, if you look at any textbook, right? In terms of financial planning textbook, you would realize that they always say, like for instance, if you look at the certified planners, financial planners, or anything like that, they would always say that the best time to start retirement savings or financial planning is the day you start to work. The thing about that is, a lot of people look at retirement as something that is, for want of a better word, is associated with old age, right? The truth is, when you look at retirement planning in terms of years, because you see people have this concept, well, okay, I'm 20 years old, I'm going to retire at 60, I have 40 years, right? When you look at it in terms of years, it's a mistake. What we should be doing is really looking at retirement and the number of paychecks till retirement. So, for example, if someone is 30 years old and is retired at age 60, which is 30 years till retirement, and you take that 30 years which they have and multiply it by 12, it gives you 360 months. Right?
Yeah.
Which, as you know, works out to 360 paychecks to invest for their retirement. So, there you would see that you really don't have that much time. Yeah?
And the reality is that, I suppose, and I like the answer they gave me, that the best time to start planning for retirement is the first day you start to work.
Yeah, first day you start
because
to work.
that will give you the longest period of time between your day you start to work and your retirement to make use of that time. And what are some of the benefits of that time, though? If you start, the earlier you start, what benefits does it bring to you?
Well, the earlier you start, the benefit it would bring to you is that it puts time on your side.
That's one.
That's one, right? Another benefit is, let's say you want to retire at age 50. Because you see, the thing is that not everyone has the same retirement plan. Some people...
Retirement goals, yeah.
Retirement goals. Some people may say, a lot of people I meet, they want to retire early. But when you put it in terms of paychecks, sometimes you realize
they
that
don't
it's
have
not a reality. Right? So the benefit of starting early is that, especially if you want to retire earlier, as 50, 55 or so on, you would have maximized the number of paychecks in terms of investing to build that fund for yourself at retirement. So that's another benefit.
And the nice thing too about and starting, like you said, the first day you start to work. Although, it sounds probably ridiculous to some people, that's reality, is that even if, let's say, you started at 20 or 25, and you decide I want to retire at age 50, and you plan for age 50, but at age 50 you're still feeling good.
Yes.
You could actually push your retirement back. You know what I mean? To age 55, whatever. At least that's the nice thing about planning for retirement, I suppose, that you can adjust it to suit how you feel and you know, rather than starting at age 40.
Yes. Which a lot of people do.
Yeah. And then age 60 is just down the road.
Yeah.
And you realize that
the time is too short.
Yeah.
You know.
And also it's going to cost you more the longer you wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. So now, are there different types of pension plans?
Yes, there are different types of pension plans. To start off, there is a defined benefit plan and defined contribution plan, right? With the defined benefit plan, the investment risk is with the employer. If they state what a pension would be, that is the employer, right? If they state what the pension would be in the future, and the fund doesn't perform to produce that pension, they will be responsible for the employee receiving that benefit.
Right, for making up whatever shortfalls that
exactly. So sometimes, you know, that could be less profits for the company. In the defined contribution plan, the investment risk is with the employees, because whatever the contribution yields in the future is what they will be entitled to receive, in the future as a pension. The thing is that companies are moving away from defined benefit plans and more dealing with defined contribution plans, which will now have certain options which refer to a new, what you call new money products. These are individual pension plans which are registered and unregistered plans. Now, the thing is, in some of these individual plans, most times the contributions are low. So when it comes to retirement, there's a problem there because there's a lack of planning. Because of course, the company would have taken out the plan and sometimes they might not have been revised and so on. So it is something that has to be constantly revised. Because, you know, let's say your income goes up. Of course, your lifestyle may change and stuff like that. You want to reach to the point, okay, you've worked all these years, and now you reach the point where you're transitioning from working to not working, but you want to get that same income.
All right, good. Now, all right, so you say there are basically two types of plans. The defined benefit, the defined, remind me.
Defined benefit, defined contribution.
Defined contribution.
Yes.
Now, how do I make a decision as to how much I should contribute to my pension plan? What? All
right.
You know, how do I make that decision?
That, John, is a very difficult question to answer. One that requires some explanation because it's not an ideal question that we're responding to. For instance, if an individual started to save the very first day they started to work, such an individual may be required to save 5 or 10% of the income. Towards retirement, that is, right?
To maintain your current lifestyle.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that is not the case with most people. Most people do not start saving, or should I say they start saving when it's almost too late. And therefore, saving 5 or 10% of their income at that time will not replace the income. It will not satisfy their lifestyle expenditure. And that is where the problem is. So, such people may be required to save 15 or 20% of their salary.
Or sometimes as much as 25%, depending on when you start.
Yeah, depending on when you start. But that breeds another question. Is it possible? So, that is the natural response to it. And if we just have to answer the question, it would be an average of 10%. But that is definitely that not enough.
Yeah, providing that you have time as a luxury.
Yes.
Because the less time you have, the greater your contribution needs to be.
Yeah. Depending on your lifestyle. Now, let me just add let me just add to that too. If you were to look at any financial planner course, again, like the CFP or so, it would tell you that you need to save about 30% of your monthly income, right? Because remember, savings is broken into three. Immediate, then you have, your 5-year plan or so, right? Which would be...
Yeah, immediate, midterm, long-term.
And then your long-term, which is your retirement plan. So the 10% will go to retirement. What I suggest is that probably to answer that is meeting with your advisor, because again, everyone's retirement plan would be different.
You know, some people say, look, I'm in a job, I have a pension plan at work, and that's good enough. Is it?
I wouldn't say that it is good enough, because if you have a pension plan in work, the thing with that is you wouldn't know. Okay, because a lot of people say, yes, I have a pension, right?
Right.
But if you ask someone, okay, you have a pension, but how much money is it going to generate for you at your preferred retirement age? Most people wouldn't know. So I would say it is not enough, right? You need to plan and see how much that is generating. Add it to your NIS, which is normally $3,000 at age 60. Once you have 750 weekly payments, and then you start a plan with your personal plans that will make up the difference of money.
Yeah, because again, you know, you have to take into consideration inflation, because
correct,
and all these things that, you know, will erode whatever you put aside for your pension
at retirement
age.
Yes. Yeah.
You know. All right, so fine. So we understand the different types: planned contribution, planned benefit, defined benefit, and defined contribution, rather. Right? We know the best time to start is the day you start working. Of course, that is not always practical, but the point is you need to start planning for retirement early. Although you said, you know, people look at it as down the road, but it comes a lot faster than you think. You know, so you need to start planning as early as possible. And as you said, the earlier you start, you make you have the benefit of time on your side. You have time on your side, whereas the later you plan, time is against you. Right? So that's excellent. Now, there's a question I need to ask, but I'm going to take a short break. Remind people that this program, Inside Insurance, is brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian Group. And also, if you need to contact, if you have a question for Quincy or myself, you can text us at 4955, or you can send a question to insideinsure@gmail.com.
When you are young, you think you will live forever. My name is Janice Berkeley Ives. I am a mother, a public servant, and I'm also a widow. Until my husband's death, I really did not know much about insurance, but his foresight and his relationship with Guardian Group truly changed my life. You see, my husband died 6 weeks after our third child was born, and it was the insurance policies from Guardian Group that allowed us to continue living and enjoying life after his passing. Every day I thank him for thinking of our future. Maybe it is time you think about yours.
Call your Guardian Group agent at 800-5433. Guardian Group. Live easy.
Right, and we're back. Inside Insurance. And of course, John Gill and the expert from Guardian Group, Mr. Quincy Tyner. And we're talking retirement planning. We're talking pensions. Now, let me ask you then, how can I increase my pension, my retirement income? What are the ways that I can increase my retirement income?
Well, your retirement income, you can use your tax savings, because, you know, with the registered plans, you normally get back at 25% once you do a tax claim. Now, you can do it on your TD1, where your employer would adjust it, or I normally recommend you do it on a TD4. Once you do that way, you will get back 25% in a check in email. So what you can do, because you see that 25% represents basically the interest you would have earned on that money.
Right.
What you can do is you can redeposit it. So, for example, let's say you're paying $1,000 a month, which is $12,000 a year. When you do that tax return, you get back 25%, which is $3,000. So you can take that tax return and redeposit it, and have a higher claim the next year.
Right. So you just keep reinvesting that 25%.
You just keep reinvesting it, and that is a nice way of pushing up your pension. Right.
Excellent.
Another thing that you can do is if you have lump sums, bonuses, and that kind of thing, you can make those deposits to your pension and claim on it as well. And added to that, you know that they've increased the amount that you could contribute and claim on your pension from $30,000 to $50,000.
Right. So if at present what you contribute towards your retirement is less than the $50,000 annually, you can make up that difference with, like if you come into some,
a lump sum,
or anything.
Yeah,
right,
you could just make a deposit and
you win the
claim back on it. You win the lotto.
Right, so you can make those deposits
yes.
to make up the difference, the shortfall between what you are currently paying and the $50,000 allowance.
Yes.
And you can then claim on that.
Yes.
And then reinvest that claim
of course.
into to help beef up, to further beef up your retirement income.
Now, let me add this to it. A lot of times, sometimes people may do their pension based on the tax return. But remember, what you are trying to do is generate the amount of income that you would need at retirement, bearing in mind inflation and interest rates.
Right.
So if you're at the max in terms of contributing to your pension, at the max in terms of the tax claim, then you can do other things. Like you can have a registered and an unregistered pension that would take up the difference to get you where you want to get to in terms of the income. Now, the benefits of having a pension is that you have income for life. You cannot outlive a pension, right? There is also something called a guarantee period, where if someone is receiving a pension and they die, excuse me, their beneficiary will continue to receive the pension for the next 15 years or however long you put the beneficiary period for. Added to which, if I'm saving, let's say I'm saving for my pension and I die before, my beneficiary will get 100% tax-free in a lump sum.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So there are lots of advantages for planning for retirement early.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a final, how should one select a pension provider?
A pension provider must be selected by virtue of international rating agencies. So you look at reports of companies, let's say the earning report, you look at the financial strength of the organization, the international ratings that companies have. Also, you can look at the company's business model as it relates to service. And also, you want to look at the educational standpoint that companies take in terms of their advisors. Are the advisors continuously learning? And are they competent? So those are some of the things that I would look at when choosing a pension provider. Excellent.
Right, so again, let's quickly recap. We were talking pensions today, and as Quincy said, the best to start saving for retirement, start retirement planning is the first day you work.
Yes.
And so you can make use of time. Time will be in your favor. Right, and basically there are two types of plans: the defined benefit, the
defined contribution
plans. And we also talked about, what you mentioned just now. I think that was very, very important about the benefits of your pensions being tax exempt up to a certain amount,
yes,
and the things that you can do in terms of like reinvesting your tax returns into your pension to help beef it up. Also, the allowance is now $50,000.
Yes.
Not $30,000 as once before. So if what you're contributing monthly does not meet the $50,000 threshold, if you come into any lump sums or you can use those to.
The $30,000, Because remember, it's up to 50,000 you can claim. So if it's 30, then they can use, like, let's say they come into any lump sums or
so you can beef it up to the 50,000, and then you can claim on that and then reinvest that tax return into your pension to help beef it up so they can have more to look forward to at retirement. Also, to the point that you were making about having like the plans where you made the point you can't outlive your pension.
Yes.
Your pension is for you for as long as you live.
Yes.
And then there are benefits where you can define a beneficiary for a period, and that beneficiary can receive
that income.
Your
pension.
That pension income.
Yes.
For that period.
So let's say it's a husband and wife scenario. Your wife will receive the pension.
Right. So Quincy, I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John.
So we were talking retirement planning. Still in. Have you started your retirement planning? Wonderful. Excellent. Right. So we want to say thank you very much to Quincy Tyner, the Guardian Group expert. And you can tune in hopefully the first Friday in May for continued edition of Inside Insurance here on I-95.5 FM. So once again, we say thank you and see you next week, Friday.